Something Wicked This Way Comes, by Ray Bradbury. Chapter 2. There's nothing in the living world like books on water cures, deaths of 1,000 slices, or pouring white-hot lava off castle walls on trolls and mountebanks. So said Jim Nightshade. That's all he read. If it wasn't how to burgle the First National, it was how to build catapults or shape black bumbershoot's into lurking bat costumes for cabbage night. Jim breathed it out all fine, and Will, he breathed it in. With the lightning rod nailed to Jim's roof, Will proud, and Jim ashamed of what he considered mutual cowardice, it was late in the day. Supper over, it was time for their weekly jog to the library. Like all boys, they never walked anywhere, but named a goal and lit for it, scissors and elbows. Nobody won. Nobody wanted to win. It was in their friendship they just wanted to run forever, shadow and shadow. Their hands slapped library door handles together. Their chests broke track tapes together. Their tennis shoes beat parallel pony tracks over lawns, trimmed bushes, squirreled trees, no one losing, both winning, thus saving their friendship for other times of loss. So it was on this night that blew warm, then cool, and they let the wind take them downtown at 8 o'clock. They felt the wings on their fingers and elbows flying, then, suddenly, plunged in new sweeps of air. The clear autumn river flung them headlong where they must go. Up steps 3, 6, 9, 12, slap their palms, hit the library door. Jim and Will grinned at each other. It was all so good. These blowing, quiet October nights, and the library waiting inside now with its green-shaded lamps and papyrus dust. Jim listened. What's that? What, the wind? Like music. Jim squinted at the horizon. Don't hear no music. Jim shook his head. Gone. Or it wasn't even there. Come on. They opened the door and stepped in. They stopped. The library deeps lay waiting for them. Out in the world, not much happened. But here, in the special night, a land bricked with paper and leather, anything might happen, always did. Listen, and you heard 10,000 people screaming so high only dogs feathered their ears. 1,000,000 folk ran totting cannons, sharpening guillotines. Chinese, 4 abreast, marched on forever. Invisible, silent, yes, but Jim and Will had the gift of ears and noses, as well as the gift of tongues. This was a factory of spices from far countries. Here alien deserts slumbered. Up front was the desk where the nice old lady, Miss Watrous, purple-stamped your books. But down off away were Tibet and Antarctica, the Congo. There went Miss Willis, the other librarian, through outer Mongolia, calmly totting fragments of Peeping and Yokohama and the Celebes. Way down the third book corridor, an oldish man whispered his broom along in the dark, mounding the fallen spices. Will stared. It was always a surprise, that old man, his work, his name. That's Charles William Halloway, thought Will. Not grandfather. Not far-wandering, ancient uncle, as some might think. But my father. So looking back down the corridor, was Dad shocked to see he owned a son who visited this separate 20,000 fathoms deep world? Dad always seemed stunned when Will rose up before him, as if they had met a lifetime ago, and one had grown old, while the other stayed young, and this fact stood between them. Far off, the old man smiled. They approached each other, carefully. Is that you, Will? Grown an inch this morning? Charles Halloway shifted his eyes. Jim? Eyes darker, cheeks paler. You burn yourself at both ends, Jim? Heck, said Jim. No such place as heck. But hell's right here, under A for allegory. Allegory's beyond me, said Jim. How stupid of me. Dad laughed. I mean Dante. Look at this. Pictures by Mr. Dorr, showing all the aspects. Hell never looked better. Here's souls sunk to their gills in slime. There's someone upside down, wrong side out. Boy, howdy. Jim eyed the 2 different ways and thumbed on. Got any dinosaur pictures? Dad shook his head. That's over in the next aisle. He strolled them around and reached out. Here we are. Pterodactyl, Kite of Destruction. Or what about Drums of Doom, the saga of thunder lizards? Pep you up, Jim? I'm pepped. Dad winked at Will. Will winked back. They stood now, a boy with corn-colored hair and a man with moon-white hair, a boy with a summer apple, a man with a winter apple face. Dad thought, Will, why, he looks like me, in a smashed mirror. And suddenly Will remembered nights rising at 2 in the morning to go to the bathroom and spying across town to see that one single light in the high library window and know Dad had lingered on late murmuring and reading alone under these green jungle lamps. It made Will sad and funny to see that light, to know the old man, he stopped to change the word, his father, was here in all this shadow. "Will," said the old man, who was also a janitor, who happened to be his father, "what about you?" "Huh?" Will shook himself. "You need a white hat or a black hat book?" "Hats," said Will. "Well, Jim," they perambulated, Dad running his fingers along the book spines. "He wears the black 10-gallon hat and reads books to fit. Middle name's Moriarty, right, Jim? Any day now he'll move up from Fu Manchu to Machiavelli here. Medium-sized, dark fedora. Or over along Dr. Faustus. Extra-large black Stetson. That leaves the white hat boys to you, Will. Here's Gandhi. Next door is St. Thomas. And on the next level, well, Buddha." "You don't mind," said Will. "I'll settle for the mysterious island." "What?" asked Jim, scowling. "Is all this talk about white and black hats?" "Why?" Dad handed Jules Verne to Will. "It's just a long time ago I had decided myself which color I'd wear." "So," said Jim, "which did you pick?" Dad looked surprised. Then he laughed, uneasily. "Since you need to ask, Jim, you make me wonder. Will, tell Mom I'll be home soon. Get out of here, both of you. Miss Watrous," he called callingly to the librarian at the desk, "Dinosaurs and Mysterious Islands coming up." The door slammed. Outside, a weather of stars ran clear in an ocean sky. Heck, Jim sniffed north. Jim sniffed south. Where's the storm? That darn salesman promised. I just gotta watch the lightning fizz down my drain pipes. Will let the wind ruffle and refit his clothes, his skin, his hair. Then he said faintly, "It'll be here by morning." "Who says?" "The huckleberries all down my arms. They say." "Great!" The wind flew Jim away. A similar kite, Will swooped to follow. Chapter 3. Watching the boys vanish away, Charles Halloway suppressed a sudden urge to run with them, make the pack. He knew what the wind was doing to them, where it was taking them, to all the secret places that were never so secret again in life. Somewhere in him a shadow turned mournfully over. You had to run with the night like this, so the sadness could not hurt. Look, he thought, Will runs because running is its own excuse. Jim runs because something's up ahead of him. Yet, strangely, they do run together. What's the answer, he wondered, walking through the library, putting out the lights, putting out the lights, putting out the lights. Is it all in the whirls on our thumbs and fingers? Why are some people all grasshopper fiddlings, scrapings, all antenna shiverings, one big ganglion internally nodding, slip nodding, square nodding themselves? They stoke a furnace all their lives, sweat their lips, shine their eye, and start it all in the crib. Caesar's lean and hungry friends, they eat the dark, with who only stand and breathe. That's Jim, all bramble hair and itchweed. And Will? Why, he's not the last peach high on a summer tree. Some boys walk by and you cry, seeing them. They feel good, they look good, they are good. Oh, they're not above peeing off a bridge or stealing an occasional dime store pencil sharpener. It's not that. It's just, seeing them pass, that's how they'll be all their life. They'll get hit, hurt, cut, bruised, and always wonder why. Why does it happen? How can it happen to them? But Jim, now, he knows it happens. He watches for it happening. He sees it start. He sees it finish. He licks the wound he expected and never asks why. He knows. He always knew. Someone knew before him, a long time ago, someone who had wolves for pets and lions for night conversants. Hell, Jim doesn't know with his mind, but his body knows. And while Will's putting a bandage on his latest scratch, Jim's ducking, weaving, bouncing away from the knockout blow which must inevitably come. So there they go. Jim running slower to stay with Will running faster to stay with Jim breaking 2 windows in a haunted house because Will's along, Will breaking 1 window instead of none because Jim's watching. God, how we get our fingers in each other's clay. That's friendship, each playing the potter to see what shapes we can make of the other. Jim, Will, he thought, strangers. Go on, I'll catch up someday. The library door gasped open, slammed. 5 minutes later, he turned into the corner saloon for his nightly one and only drink, in time to hear a man say, "I read when alcohol was invented, the Italians thought it was the big thing they'd been looking for centuries. The elixir of life. Did you know that?" "No." The bartender's back was turned. "Sure," the man went on. "Distilled wine, 9th, 10th century, looked like water, but it burnt. I mean, it not only burnt the mouth and stomach, but you could set it on fire. So they thought they'd mixed water and fire. Fire water. The elixir vitae. By God. Maybe they weren't so far wrong thinking it was the cure-all, the thing that worked miracles. Have a drink?" "I don't need it," said Holloway, "but someone inside me does." "Who?" "The boy I once was," thought Holloway, "who runs like the leaves down the sidewalk autumn nights." But he couldn't say that, so he drank, eyes shut, listening to hear if that thing inside turned over again, rustling in the deep bonds that were stacked for burning, but never burned.